Hello, today we're going to learn about how to draft a deed of power of attorney. Now, of course, a power of attorney is that instrument by which one person, who we refer to as a donor, appoints or delegates authority to another person whom we refer to as a donee or as an attorney to do acts on his behalf. So a power of attorney, of course, can be granted simply in writing or by deed. It's granted by deed when the attorney is being appointed to do an act which would require the attorney to execute another deed on behalf of the donor. So for instance, if you're being appointed to sell property on behalf of another person, then of course in selling the property, you would need to execute a deed of assignment for that person. And so you also must be appointed by deed. So in drafting a power of attorney, this is how it goes. Now, the first clause we have here is the commencement clause, which says by this power of attorney. And in some drafts, it could simply just say this power of attorney. And then the next is the date clause, which says made dash day of dash. You could also say is made. Of course, per the law school rules, when you have is made in the date clause, that means necessarily a recital would follow. And then what comes next is the parties clause. It says, I, Mrs. Philippa Adamu of number 15 Sule Street, Maitama, Abuja, the donor. All right, that's the parties clause. Of course, a power of attorney is a deed poll, and so it's executed by one party only. The donor alone executes. And so the parties clause just has the name of the donor. And then next is the appointment clause. Hereby appoint Mr. Samuel Sambo of 5 Adeniyi Jones Street, Ikeja, Lagos, the donee, to be my true and lawful attorney in my name to do all or any of the following acts. So that's the appointment clause. And after that, now, what follows after are the power clauses. All right, so the clauses by which the donor confers authority, grants authority to the donee to do different acts. So here we have like 3 different power clauses. The first one says to lease the property at number 45 Ishere Street, Ikeja, Lagos in favor of Virgin Atlantic Limited for a term of 10 years. 2, to sell the 3-bedroom bungalow at number 32 Awolowo Road, Ikoyi, Lagos to Zenith Bank PLC. 3, to sell the block of 4 flats at Sapele, Delta State, in favor of Professor Ugo Ekanem of the Department of Petroleum Engineering, University of Calabar. So those are the different acts that the donor wants the donee to do on his behalf or on her behalf here. And so those are the power clauses. And then after those specific powers are granted, you would usually have a more general grant, which is the omnibus power clause. All right. And that's what you see here as clause 4, where the donor says, and I also declare that my attorney may do all that is incidental to the powers already listed. So that's given the donor, the donee, sorry, the attorney discretion to do some other things which may not have specifically been listed, but which may be useful to fulfilling or performing his duties. And then, of course, you know that a power of attorney may be revocable or irrevocable. It's irrevocable when there's valuable consideration supporting it, or when it's granted for a period of time for which it cannot be revoked. And this is how the clause could read, the irrevocability clause. Now, the first one you see here, it's where it's granted for a certain period of time for which it cannot be revoked. And it says, and I declare that its power of attorney shall be irrevocable for a period of 6 months from the date of its execution, or if it's been granted for valuable consideration, it would read, and I declare that in consideration of the sum of so and so and so naira already paid by the donee to the donor, the receipt of which the donor acknowledges, this power of attorney shall be irrevocable. Of course, when valuable consideration is provided, the power of attorney cannot be revoked until that consideration has been returned to the donee. All right, so that's the irrevocability clause. Then, of course, what comes next is your testimonium, in witness of which I, the within donor, has executed this power of attorney in the manner below, on the day and year first above written. And then we have the execution and attestation clauses. So it would say signed, sealed, and delivered by the within named donor, and there the donor has signed. And then, of course, the attestation, which would be the witness to the signature, also signing. So in the presence of the name, address, occupation, signature, and date of the witness. And finally, you have the franking, basically the particulars of the lawyer who has drafted this instrument. So that's how to draft a power of attorney. It's a very simple draft to learn, very few clauses. So I hope this has provided some useful insight into drafting a power of attorney for you. See you some other time. Bye for now.